Hello, people. Come on in here. We're going to be talking about bankruptcy do's and don'ts. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to give a few minutes, maybe 1-2 minutes before I start. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all for joining. Welcome. So, I gotta give my disclaimer. So, I got two little dogs, Dee Dee and Ava. If you hear them barking, that's them. And if I look down, I have all my notes right in front of me because I don't want y'all to miss nothing, okay? So, come on in here. We're gonna get to it. Hair sticking up. Woo. We're gonna wait a few more minutes. We're gonna wait 1 or 2 minutes for y'all to come on in, and then we're gonna get started because I don't want to hold you all long, okay? All right. Thank you for joining. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't want to prolong it any longer. We're going to be talking about bankruptcy's do's and don'ts, okay? So, a lot of times in life, things happen and we get put in... Sorry about that. Sorry about that, you guys. Like I was saying, we get put into situations sometime in life where we debate or we consider possibly doing bankruptcy. I remember there was a time in my life where I did have to file bankruptcy. I did a Chapter 13. It was after I had considered all options, and bankruptcy was my only option at that time because I wanted to keep my home. And that's why I decided to do bankruptcy several years back, and that did help me with my transition to selling that home. Okay, so I just want to educate you all from my perspective on actually being in bankruptcy, and just give a few do's and don'ts. And there's way more, but I'm only going to give you like around 6 of them that I experienced during my time in bankruptcy. Okay, so I may add a bonus at the end after the do's and don'ts. I don't know, but depending on how good I'm feeling afterwards. Okay, so the first do, make sure that you're doing your research on the attorney that you're going to get your bankruptcy filed through. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are doing your research, making sure that you get an attorney that's going to be willing to work with you, that is on your side, that is going to actually represent you well, whether you're doing a Chapter 7, 11, or 13, okay? You want to make sure that they're not going to just want to take your money and just throw anything into that bankruptcy that could potentially harm you in the future, okay? So always do your research on the attorney that you're going to file with, okay? Now you can, if you don't want to do go with an attorney, you can go to a bankruptcy petitioner. And so what they'll do, they'll file the bankruptcy for you. It's usually cheaper than an actual attorney, but they'll file the paperwork for you, and then you'll be responsible for answering the pleas of the courts, of the bankruptcy courts and all of that. So just keep that in mind, whether you just want to go to a bankruptcy petitioner and get it filed, and then you are responsible for doing all the work as far as communicating with the bankruptcy courts, or you can find a really good bankruptcy attorney that can help you, okay? So do number 2, you want to make sure that you're considering all options before you get to bankruptcy, okay? And what I mean about that is you want to make sure that you are considering options on like debt settlement options, paying off debt, can you get another job or some other income that can help you reduce some of this debt, anything like that. Can you consolidate the debt? Can you give back some things? You just basically want to be able to consider all your options before getting into bankruptcy, because bankruptcy is a hard process, okay? Meaning, even though it can relieve you of your debt, or it'll help you repay, like a chapter 13 is a repayment plan. A chapter 7 is it's like an elimination of debt. So you just settle all you sell it all at one time, pay a certain fee, and then everything is gone. But during the process of a bankruptcy is very strenuous. It can be very stressful on you. It's almost like you're divorcing yourself. Okay, so when you're considering bankruptcy, please go through all the other options first, instead of just jumping straight to bankruptcy, because there are other options. So that'll be another live that we can talk about. But make sure that you are considering all other options first, because bankruptcy is very detrimental to the future of you, especially credit wise, and then your lending ability moving forward. You really can't do anything because you're at high risk now. Okay, so make sure that you are considering other options. So that's do number 2. Okay, do number 3. When you do decide to file for bankruptcy and you go with an attorney, make sure that you're honest with the attorney. You want to tell them everything that's going on. You want to tell them all about your assets and your financial situation and all of that, okay? You want to be clear. You want to be straightforward with them. You want to be transparent with them, because they need to know what they need to file on the petition, okay? So basically, when you go in the door, have an open mind and be willing to tell them everything that's actually going on with you, okay? So let's move to the don'ts. I got 3 don'ts for you. And anyone that's coming in, thank you for coming in. We're talking about the do's and the don'ts of bankruptcy. We just finished the 3 do's. We're about to go into the 3 don'ts that I have, and there's several more that you can it's several more that you could possibly have, but I'm only gonna give you 6, okay? So so thank you for joining. And I think I'm gonna get a few bonuses. Okay, so we're gonna dive right into the first don't. Okay, what you don't want to do, you don't want to ignore your financial situation. Like I said, when I went into bankruptcy years back, my situation faced me head on. I was in a point where I was at a crossroads where I had to file bankruptcy because I was trying to keep my home, because I had just got laid off. So when things happen like that, like a tragedy happens, you get laid off, you get really sick, and you just can't afford your home, or you have like over $10,000 worth of medical bills, and they keep building up, that's when you may consider bankruptcy, okay? That way you can either choose a chapter 7 or a chapter 13, okay? So it has to be very extraneous circumstances before you go into bankruptcy, okay? So don't just run to bankruptcy as a first thing, because it is a price to pay afterwards, okay? So the second don't, when you are filing and you are being transparent with your attorney, if you're filing a Chapter 13, make sure that attorney does not include your bank account, your active bank account, as an asset. Okay, because what happens, and I've seen this time and time again when I was a banker, what happens at this point when you include your bank account into a bankruptcy, a Chapter 13 at that, they will freeze, the bankruptcy courts will freeze your bank account. So that means you won't have access to make deposits, you won't have access to make withdrawals, and you won't be able to use your debit card in any way. And so what happens is, the bank, once the courts takes over, the bank can't do anything. Okay, they cannot do anything with your existing funds. Even if you just got recently paid and it got deposited into your current checking account, because of that freeze, you cannot get that money in any way, shape, or form. So what you have to do from that point, when that happens, the bank can open you a new checking account, but you have to go to your attorney and get granted permission to remove this as part of your assets. Okay, so you at least be able to unlock the freeze when the courts allow you to, and then you can get your money out of that account and transfer into the new account. Okay, so when you're trying to file a Chapter 13 and you're discussing your assets, please make sure that they are not including your current bank account. Use any other assets besides your current bank account, checking and savings. Okay, I've seen it too many times, and people can't get their money out. Okay, the last don't. Okay, please don't assume that all debt will just vanish. Okay, because secured debt, IRS debt, and student loans, they are not going anywhere. You cannot put those into a bankruptcy settlement. You cannot file those at all. So you want to make sure that you know this when it comes to those three items: some secured debt, student loans, and IRS. Now, those three things will usually have their own program for some type of settlement, some type of payment arrangement. So you want to go that route when it comes to those three items, which is the student loans, the IRS, and some secured debt. Okay, so if you're trying to put your student loans into a bankruptcy just to get rid of it, it's not gonna work. Okay, so that's the last don't. I do have a bonus. If you decide to do a Chapter 13 and you get set up on a payment plan and you can't fulfill it, most of the time when it comes to a Chapter 13, they'll set you up with a payment plan, and then if you're paying to the treasurer for your claim, and a lot of times the payment keeps increasing. It'll keep increasing and keep increasing. What will happen is the bankruptcy courts can and will kick you out of bankruptcy, especially if you're in the Chapter 13. Now, with a Chapter 7, normally you just pay whatever amount you have to pay to the attorney. They'll file it. The debt is basically done, and you're out the door. But with a Chapter 13, it's a whole different ball game, because you're making payments on a monthly basis to the courts to pay back any debts, or to sustain any debts that you have filed. But they will kick you out of bankruptcy if you have missed or been late 4 consecutive times on your bankruptcy. So I just wanted to give that note to you all, that you can get kicked out, and you can ask to be taken out of your bankruptcy. It's called a dismissal. Okay, so you can ask to be taken out, If you feel like this is not working for you, they will file a claim. They will take it out. It's usually an easy process, but you will still have that bankruptcy listed on your credit report. Okay? When it comes to credit worthiness, after you have now with a Chapter 13, you can still make purchases within that bank while you're in the active open bankruptcy. Okay, so you can still buy a house, you can still buy a car while you're in the Chapter 13. It's actually better to go ahead and make a purchase while it's an open bankruptcy, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, than after it has closed. Okay, and we'll get more into details on the live. Okay, but you want to make sure that I lost my train of thought, guys. What was I gonna say? Oh gosh, credit worthiness. That's what I was on. When you have been dismissed or discharged from a bankruptcy, no matter the type, lenders will still look at you as a high risk. Okay, most of the times when they have been dismissed or closed out in any shape or form, when the bankruptcy have, you cannot make any purchases, big purchases, at least 2 years after that bankruptcy has been closed out. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure that you're considering that when you decide to do a bankruptcy, that it will have a long-lasting effect on you in the future. So once it's closed out, you still may not be able to get things like a car or a house right after it's closed out. Okay, you may have to wait 2 to 5 years, just depending on the type of lender that you go with. And they may not feel comfortable lending to you at that moment. Okay, so that was my few bonuses at the end. I just thank you all for joining. Thanks God's favorite girl for joining. So didn't want to keep you all long, but if you all want me to talk a little bit more about bankruptcies or any other financial subject, please comment down below and make sure that you like and share this video. And I'll see you on next Wednesday.